Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite paranormal investigator. Welcome to the show. My name's Tim Sudano. This is Paranormal Insight. And on today's show, we were supposed to have a guest, but unfortunately, they had to postpone. That's okay. I've been kind of wanting to do this show for a while, but I wasn't sure where I was going to fit it in. And it has to deal with, and I'm going to have a little bit of fun. Not really. Trying to piece this together because my window's all goofy. But I want to share this image with you. There it is. You may recall this image. I brought it up in a show about a year ago called The Finer Points of Alien Abduction. And this was based on an experience I had in the dream state. So what I wanted to share with you, first we're going to take another look at that portion of that show where I talk about the dream and what Joe Montaldo, the guest on that show, had to say about it. P.S. If I do say so myself, The Finer Points of Alien Abduction is a 3-part series, and it is well worth a look, I think so. I've re-aired it a few times. Unfortunately, I may have overplayed it, but going back to this for a very specific reason, you'll see why in just a little bit. I am having all kinds of trouble with my window here, so let's see if I can toy with that a little bit. Having zero luck. Okay, we're just going to play the clip. This is from episode 34. And well, we don't need two of me, so let me, Nope. Okay. Wow, I lost all the little visuals here. This is fun. It's not fun, but, it could be. Let's see here. Yeah. New. There's a bunch of little drop-down buttons that just aren't happening right now. And it's a little perplexing. So, let me do this. There we go, and you can watch this segment. Here we go. So, my dream goes like this. I'm with my scary team. Investigate this.
Keep the audio on.
Not even a UFO flap. It's just constant. There are always UFOs in this vicinity, around this town. And this town has a very unique kind of, I don't know, I guess, design. Or I should say, they have a baseball diamond. It's abandoned. They don't use it much anymore, but, it's like a little league somewhere. And this is all AI art, so we just take that with a grain of salt. And at the back end, kind of like Rogers Field in Canada, there's a hotel.
Hold on. A minor little snafu happened. Let me bring that back up because it's playing on my computer, but not on the thingy. So let me bring that back up again. My apologies for that little thing. We'll pick I might even rewind it a little bit because we kind of lost it. But as I was this is again the episode 34. Here it is. I'll back it up just a hair if I can. Okay, Rogers Field, like town, baseball was the thing at one time. Oh, continuing on.
At the backstop attached to the baseball diamond. And they say the UFOs tend to swarm around this thing, and they have all this photographic evidence, interviews and stuff, and like over the years, but nobody has really said anything about it. It's kind of like the best kept secret in the world, but we got invited out for some reason, again, on the dream. And one particular set of people, again, these are AI people. AI made this up. Look the way she's holding her cigarette. And I don't know what the heck that is on her badge on the little girl there. But anyway, these two, a mother and daughter team, refuse to be on camera, but they'll tell the story on audio. So, I'm geared up. I got what I call my one-man band, which is a tack vest I've modified to hold cameras and stuff. But anyway, they don't want to be on camera, but they'll be on audio. They tell me this story. They says, listen, I can tell you about the lights we've seen. We've seen abductions. I think my daughter's been abducted, the mother says, and the daughter says, well, I think my mom's been abducted because I've seen her. I remember her in the ship. But that's kind of irrelevant. She says, if you want to see something, we know something's going to happen tonight. We get a sensation whenever an abduction's about to happen. So stay in that hotel, and we'll see what happens. So I go to my. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Oh, I gave it away. Okay, so I stay in my hotel. It's late at night, and then I get a phone call, and it's fuzzy. It's the transmission's garbled, and they're here, and as soon as I look out, boom, UFOs are outside of this hotel, buzzing the top floor. And let me introduce you to these UFO players. This is the bigger Papa. This is or Mama, if you prefer. Again, AI art, but it took me forever to get this just so. But this is relatively what it looked like in my dream. It had this gear kind of thing going on the outside, and it had cameras, like there were drones, like cameras, and a spotlight on one side. And this big one's buzzing around. I make it about 30 foot around, maybe 40, as its circumference goes. And buzzing around on the other side is this little guy. And he's decidedly smaller, maybe 10 foot around, but he's definitely smaller. He kind of looks like this, not exactly like this, but not far off. And he also has a similar ocular thing on top of his thing, and he's swiveling around like it's almost like an R2D2 kind of a thing. And I have these really those curtains that are semi-transparent. They're meant to like block out the light but be translucent, like provide. I can't talk, but those translucent curtains. Once pulled over, this little guy here, sitting outside my window, just like that, pans his little flashlight or spotlight and scans across the curtains. The curtains open as he does so. I can feel this pressure, this electromagnetic pressure. If you've experienced anything like that, you've been too close to a power box or something like that, or a power junction, you'll know you'll get that weird pushback in the magnetic field a little bit. I'm super sensitive to that stuff anyway. It kind of helps when you're doing ghost hunting. But anyway, curtains, I feel the wave of this beam or whatever it is he's using, and I start to levitate. And I'm being picked up, and it's not any one part of me is picked up. It's like I'm being lifted up and as a whole. And and in the dream I go hi again, like that. The next moment in the dream, and the part that actually kind of woke me up, is I get this chill that travels. I'll never forget the sensation, but it's like being doused in warm water when you've been cold and you get that chill. But it went from the top of my head all the way to the bottom of my feet, linearly, except I'm lying down. I'm prone, and that's when I wake up. And that is my dream. Have you heard anything like that before? And have you seen craft that resemble these guys before? I guess that's my big question for you. And then we'll get into the larger issue.
Let me turn the mic on so you can actually hear me.
Sure.
I've actually had a lot of dreams along those lines. I wouldn't say exactly, but along those lines. So what's funny about that is part of the dream sounds like somehow or another you got AI stuck in your head. Part of the dream could be alien, but the problem is a lot of the descriptions you give of the craft sound like AI. Because we've got a lot of these that sound like AI that are not actually. To put in perspective, the Greys, reptilians, and humans don't need a light to scan you. Okay. Their scanners just work. They just work. Doesn't matter if it's dark, daylight, or anything. They just scan out. They're invisible scans, and they just scan out and they touch you, and you can feel them when they touch you. And it does push back.
Yeah.
Not always. I mean, if you're not sensitive to it, you might not feel it. But most people who are sensitive to it are going to feel it, and they instantly know what's coming next.
Okay.
The next thing is your ass is being hauled aboard the ship for whatever reasons they're being taken. In this case, someone may have known you were there. So military abductions are funny things.
That's
so the government always wants you to think that you're being taken by aliens again. So let's say you were taken 10 hours earlier without realizing it, and you were put back. Well, Uncle Sam knows you were taken, probably because they've been watching. So they pull you back in later on, but they can't just go as the government, because you're going to know they're the government. You know, because then when you're talking to them, you say, oh, these guys in Jeeps or these Humvees or whatever pulled up, or these helicopters came on, or these weird drones came in. So what they do is, and we've caught them doing this more than one time, they use drones that look like spacecraft. So they use a it's not even a magnetic. It's not even a magnetic field. It's kind of like the ones in Jersey, but just a different style. They use a telepath to put you out. Oh, so you'll feel this thing pushing in your head, and your natural reflex is to push back. Yeah. The problem is, you push back, you're out. Once you start pushing back, you're actually out at that point. You just don't realize it because they're just letting whatever play through your head, because that's going to be what they're going to use. Okay. So more than likely, you were taken in this dream, probably military abduction. They just let the dream play through. Matter of fact, they were probably part of the dream. They're probably what started it. Mm-hmm. And then they let it play through. But what that means is, Tim, somewhere earlier, ET got your ass. They don't take you if ET hasn't gotten you. They're not interested in everyday citizens, because there's no real information they can glean from an everyday citizen. Gotcha. But somebody who's been taken, especially somebody who's been taken that has a pretty good memory that they lock, even it's hard to explain this to people, but even though you don't remember, you actually really do. It's still in your head. Yeah. It's still a memory in your head. You may not be able to pull it up at the moment, but they can. Because what they do is they use a cross between sodium pentothal, sodium amythol, and what they call a passive telepathic scan. So they can pretty much do whatever they want in their head. Once they give you those two drugs and bring the telepath in, whatever they feel like putting in there, they can now put in there.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I will pause this video. At least for now. Whoops, there we go. Hit the right button, Tim. You'll show up. So, that's the original airing. And what he said was, I potentially was an actual abductee, and then the military came in and kind of took over some of that stuff. So, interesting. I found that super interesting. But what really caught me more than anything was, oh, I hit the wrong button again. Let me remove this guy. And yeah, hold on. Where is it? Are we having fun with technology? There he is. Is this ship specifically? A big hello to Heidi for watching. Who's watching? For those of you just joining us, I just reviewed the section of episode 34. If you want to go and rewatch it, it's part 1 of the Finer Points of Abduction series. Earlier on, excuse me. I should have muted myself, but I didn't. But this craft here, and I will do that so we can have a real conversation here, is something that always stuck in my head. It was kind of weird. I mean, I've seen pictures of this way early on in UFO magazine. If you remember UFO magazine, I kind of grew up on that. I was obsessed with this stuff when I was much, much younger. And a big hello to Heidi in the chat. She's back. She showed up in this episode too, but in 34. But yeah, if you want to review it, episode 34, great little series. There are 3 parts to that. And we go into the finer points of alien abduction, the title of that series. But when he told me that, it was, oh, that's very interesting. I've always wanted to be one of those people. And now, apparently, at least according to Joe, yeah,
That's very possible. So I'm actually looking at going to visit Joe and get put under at one point, sometime this year, hopefully. Maybe not in the summer. He lives down south and it gets sticky hot down there. I've been there before, but I mean, we'll see. And Heidi is going on. She said she's also had realistic, vivid UFO dreams. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, super detail. It's amazing what details get called up. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. My first, not at first blush, my second thought after waking up initially from that dream was that maybe it was what I call a pea dream. Your dreams get weird and just incoherent and all that stuff. But the thing about this, you have, and eventually there's a lot of water involved in your dream. Pea dream. Anyway, there was I'm a super fan of yours too, Heidi. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm hitting the chat points intermittently here. And thank you again, Heidi, for being here and spreading the word about the show. But there was so was it a pea dream? It was too linear. Pea dreams have a lot of water, and I'm in the desert, man. Quite the opposite. And I've never had this dream before. Nothing repeats. With a pea dream, at least in my case, I get a lot of repetition. It's like, oh, it's it's a recurring dream because your brain and your brain's trying to wake you up so you can go to the bathroom. And anyway, so I'm more convinced than not that this was not a, as I put it, pea dream. But let's get to the ship. Now, the ship in its own right is rather unique. And if you're to take the little camera ocular apparatus off the top of this ship, you'd have a UFO that has shown up in other photographs. In fact, I was quite convinced, giddy even, because I saw that ship captured in a photograph. And I saw it, at least to my recollection, in the new UFO files dump from the U.S. government. And so I downloaded them, naturally, and I go looking. And, I mean, when I say that, okay, so I downloaded them. Yay, I found my ship. Yay, it's real. Or at least it was, whatever, caught on camera. This very type of ship. And it wasn't quite as, like a Reese's cup looking ridges there. It was more gears in the photo depiction. Now, am I going to show you a photo of that? My intention was to say yes, because I went back into the archive after I downloaded it. I was doing this yesterday, day before, and I'm looking for the photo. And it's like, gosh, maybe it's in a different archive. So I went to number one, the first dump, not there. It's like, yeah, I know all these photos. I've already looked at all this stuff. And it's all the NASA stuff from the moon missions. Very cool stuff, by the way. But the photo I'm looking for is not one on my computer, which had an issue recently. And this computer never, the one I'm on right now, never has issues. And then two, it's not in the government archive, because I went back into the UFO archive at war.gov and looked for it there directly. It's not there either. And now we're kind of getting to conspiracy a little bit. I usually don't like to dive into conspiracy, but something about that ship, or that something looks very close to this, was suddenly, somehow, mysteriously stricken not only from my system, but from the internet in general. There could have been a correlation online. I don't know if the files are actually tied up in that type of an algorithm. If we strike them from this particular record, it disappears off private records, private archives, as soon as they connect to the internet. And with this show, being what it is, I have to do a lot of research, so I'm online all the time. Having said all that, can I confirm this? No, I cannot. Sorry, I just heard someone yelling, "Ah!" I think it's a TV show playing in the other room. Oh, just also construction. It's probably that. But I digress. Sorry, it was a little distracting, a little worrisome at first. So there was so this ship disappeared from the internet. Now, maybe you out there are far better detectives than I am. Okay? Maybe you guys can find the ship I'm talking about. And here's an example of it. I'll put it back on full blast here, if you prefer. There it is. Full blast, full frame. So take a good look at it. Just take off the top where that little camera and spotlight are. And basically, that's the photo I'm trying to retrieve. It has this gear-like edge, and it's not a Reese's cup shaped like that. They're thicker gears. But nonetheless, that is the ship I am looking for to confirm my thing. Because, like I said in the interview, it took me forever to get the ship even that close with the AI. Speaking of AI, just as a point of clarification, Joe kept saying, "Tim, I think you're abducted by AI." So the military has been using autonomous drones, apparently, for quite some time for various actions, including, apparently, abducting people, which is not cool, but I don't know. Would you rather be in the guts of an alien ship or an Earth ship? Who knows? And apparently, excuse me, I am of interest to both, for one reason or another. I don't remember anything, but like I said, I want to go visit Joe and get regressed and all that stuff. Pardon my drinking of the water there. I'm a touch thirsty today. It's really hot today where I am, by the way. Okay, so having said all that fun stuff, what do you think? I know we got like one or two of you watching this right now, but if you want to jump into the chat, Heidi's here. Heidi's in the chat. What do you think about all that? Do we have we gotten a lot further than Bob Lazar even knew? I mean, he was out there in the 70s and 80s? Or was it strictly 80s? I can't recall. He never saw, and he saw pilots test driving the alien stuff, or was he misled? I mean, I don't think he was, because he had the various parts and he saw the same parts in the ship and yada yada yada. So I don't think we were test flying human stuff, at least not back then. So, what are your thoughts on that? Heidi has something to relate to this, and I will read. So very odd that I had a dream with a similar ship. Oh, okay. I think I spoke that on the show with Joe. Interesting. I don't recall that, Heidi. I'm so sorry. What was very odd is that they spoke to me in my dream. They were looking for certain people. I was one of the people, and when they... Hold on, let me get to that part. I was one of the people, and when they found me, I said, "So this is where I die." Oh, yeah, you were scared. Yeah, I get it. I was flippant about it, apparently, and went, "Hi there." Well, yeah, I do use humor as a defense mechanism. It's true. And I was shocked. They said, "No, this is where you're reborn." Oh, very interesting. That's very interesting. Tell me more about that, Heidi, because, I mean, how did they explain to you what they were talking about when you said you're reborn? Is this a form of... Sorry, I got weird things squeaking in my room here because everything's all akimbo. There we go. I tend to be justrous. But yeah, I'm curious to know about that, Heidi. That would be very interesting to hear from you about any extra details you have. Did they actually go into the explanation, or is that the limit of your recall? And if it is, I get it, because I wish I could recall this entire thing that purportedly happened to me. That'd be great. Again, this is why I'm going to go see Joe and get regressed. And I know this is going to sound cliche. I just hope it works, because I think it might, but I've had people try to hypnotize me in the past. Never took. With the exception of, I can get into a light interactive trance state, but I don't think that's the same as hypnosis. Maybe it is. I really don't know. So, cool. I'll come pick you up in California. Heidi says, I'm going to go too. Yeah. I'll pick you up on my way there. Unless he's coming out here. He may be going to Colorado or California or both. Maybe we can talk him into regressing, both of us, when he comes out. But worst case, I'll go to him, or best case, depending. And I'll pick you up on the way. I'm actually looking at getting a job driving cars, so as a sideline, just so you know. Cross country. I thought that'd be a really fun way to tour the country. Have a little fun there. So, my question to the world, to those of you watching, is, have you seen this ship? Have you seen this ship? Because it's been on my mind for a long time, and I have been wanting to do this show to recap all that stuff and figure out what happened to that picture. Somebody somewhere must have it in their archive. And even if it's just for today, yes, road trip, Heidi, I'm all for it. That sounds fun. I haven't been to Boulder in 1,000 years, by the way, so I think that would be neat. Been to Denver, but I haven't been to Boulder. Sorry, she's in the chat saying all this. But, yeah, I think that would be interesting. I'd love to do that, actually. So, hey, if anyone has any ins with these different car companies that need their cars driven around, I have been hitting a wall with that stuff. But this is about the paranormal, not my issues at all. So let us jump back into the paranormal. Now we're going to sideline, for now, the ship. And I have been, P.S., I poured through everything, even my online stuff, where, because I keep a little archive on Instagram, and I keep a little, I keep the weird file, so to speak. Sorry, I just logged into the Instagram to look at this stuff, and I got distracted by something. But so it's not for a lack of trying to find this stuff. And I even went through my likes, just my likes, and nothing doing. I had zero luck. So as I transition this to my still gorgeous here, she says, I guess, in Boulder. That's good to know. Did Denver turn into a hole? A poo hole, as they say. Some people. Let me know. Excuse me as I yawn. Oh, how horrible. They found vampire graves in Poland. That's fun. That is to say, they found graves where the coffins, and I did a short expose early on in my career, where in fact it's the very, I'll show you the image right now. I'll keep that on. Sorry, just making last minute decisions here that I should have made in the production, but allow me to share this with you. Adding to the stage. Yep, adding to the stage before pressing remove the other. Oh, shut it. All right, fine. Adding to the stage. Here it is. Okay. Vampire graves in Poland. And I want to zoom in on the, if I can, I want to zoom in on the skull here. because this is the only evidence she shows. And I've done an expose on this. There was a rigged, oh shoot, it goes black every time I go over it. But there, if you look across that brown thing going across, that is a sickle. So that when the corpse wakes up, they decapitate themselves because they were so afraid of vampires. Yeah. P.S. This poor individual, I think a female, if I'm judging the development of the bone structures correctly. Oh, darn it, Tim. Had some teeth issues there. Interesting, that poor thing. But I see no canines and stuff like that. So she must have, she looks kind of young by the look of it. This may be the same girl as the photo I showed at a different angle. So if this is the same person, that's a little girl. Yeah. Yikes indeed, Heidi. Yikes indeed. She says yikes in the chat. That is, yeah, that's a little bit of overkill there from my perspective. It's like, let's see, she's a vampire. Okay, potential vampire even. And they found hundreds of these in a forgotten cemetery somewhere in Poland. They were excavating for one reason or another. And they found apparently hundreds of these. Whether they all had the sickle, I couldn't tell you. Because, sorry, I think someone has their phone or radio on outside. But anyway, I got my window open for my AC. Just to keep it cooler in here, too. But, yeah, I think this may be the same girl. But, yeah, a sickle. I'm back to life. Once you sit up. And there were other versions, because some people were just completely wrapped in iron chains. Some people were, they had leather straps that eroded over time across the head, across the neck, and across the chest. And I think maybe the feet and legs as well. Feet and legs. Yeah, feet. Around the ankles and then the upper legs. And I think the hands were bound to the back of the thing too. So there are various versions of this. I just found that fascinating. So let's see what else we got going on. Flying humanoid. No, that's just more AI slop, and I don't want to bug you with all that. Excuse me. Riverside Bridge Monster. There's all... Whoops, I just yanked the earbud out of my ear. But, I don't know, there's a lot of goofy stuff happening. I wanted to focus a little more on UFOs. There we go. This is interesting. Let's take a look at this one. We'll go back to that one here in a second. So, let's see here.
Now met with a Grays to abduct a very small number of persons that in exchange for advanced technology from the aliens, and we would be periodically given a list of those persons abducted. We got something less than the technology we bargained for. It found that the abductions exceeded by 1,000,000-fold what we had naively agreed to. And when we first became aware of this, we protested to the little gray being that we held in the captivity at the YY-2 facility in Los Alamos. We found out that the Grays are cybernetic organisms, glorified robots, if you will, who work here at the behest of their employers, monitoring us through abductions. Here's what happened, Art. In 1954, President Eisenhower met with the Grays to abduct a very small number of persons that in...
Sorry, the pause button got away from me there. By the voice, I think that was John Lear talking about this. And it was Ike. You remember Ike had that dental emergency that took him 2 weeks to handle. And apparently he met with not only our little gray friends here, but the more humanoid Nordics. And here's what one said. The Nordic people said, get rid of your nukes and we'll talk and we'll elevate you because, you're in a good quasi-strategic space, literally like among the stars. And it'd be nice to be able to garrison a few, stuff, some stuff here of ours. And then, we'll teach you all about it, and you'll get an upgrade in power, and, we'll help you maintain a peace across the world, and yada, yada, yada. But you got to get rid of your nukes. He had an opportunity, apparently, so the story goes, to meet with the little gray guys, and they said, we don't care if you keep your nukes or not, but we're going, we'll let you in on on our tech. And they hand them, this is 1954 now, and they hand him, which almost kind of flies in the face of a few different things. I think this may have been a for lack of a better term, this was I don't know, because we had 1947, we had the stuff that happened prior to even this piece in 1952. I'm kind of bouncing all over the timeline, but 47 Roswell, 52 is when Captain What's-His-Name sees something like a dozen sickle-shaped UFOs flying near Mount Rainier up in Washington. And then all the other stuff that, the 50s UFO flap across not only America, but pretty much the world, and every other interaction since then. Apparently, since, and I get it from a strategic standpoint, I do, I'm former military myself, and I get it. He says, I'm not giving up weapons, especially when you seem to be afraid of them, to the Nordics. He didn't say that, but in so many words from what I understand, but that is to say, probably because the Greys can fly over our bases and shut our stuff down like that. Whether the Nordics had that power, I don't know. They just full on made the request. It's like, get rid of your nukes. You see, from a tactical thing, that's a big red flag from a military standpoint, and you're talking to a guy who was a frontline commander in World War II, Eisenhower. So I'm going to say I get what he did. Did he make the right call? I don't know. My instinct says he ultimately didn't, but I get why he didn't, because the other ones let us keep our nukes. Excuse me as I yawn. Sorry, rough night. It was a rough night, but that's no excuse. I shouldn't yawn on the air, and I apologize. But you're talking about a 4-star frontline general who became president. He understood the inner workings of the military and the industrial complex. He warned us against it at the end of his presidential tenure. And, yeah. So, yeah, I get why he did it. Was it the right choice? Probably. I don't know. On the one hand, you got the Nordics who kind of look like us. It's going to be easier for them to interact with humanity and vice versa. And so if they land and they on the White House lawn and they make a ceremony of it, and it's like, we're here to bring you peace and prosperity and advancement and yada, yada, yada. Nice first contact move and all that. But they disarm us. Likely because they have better stuff. Although, if you flip the coin on that and you think about the other side of what that is, and this is, maybe they didn't have a defense against a nuclear arsenal. I mean, we've seen that video. In fact, if I can find it, I will. Of the missile over somewhere like over Turkey, somewhere in the Mediterranean, where a Hellfire missile comes in and nicks a UFO or UAP or whatever it is you want to call it. And it may wobble and it corrects eventually. If I can find the footage, I'll bring it up. Missile. Let's see. Whoops. That's it. Nope, that's not it. Well, I know it's here somewhere, but if there's, yeah, I mean, so our convention, even our modern day conventional stuff, can't really take down these ships. Perhaps when it came to the Nordics, that wasn't the case, even 50 years ago or 60 years ago. Oh gosh, 54. This is 20. No, almost 80 years ago. Okay, well, 70 years ago. Anyway. A little over 7 years ago, give or take. My math is not very good. I'm sure I'm wrong about that. But, yeah. If you, let's see. Trying to find that, there it is. Is that it? That's not it. Sorry, I guess I should have prepared that earlier. I should put things in a special folder just for. That's what I should do from now on. I promise that's what I'll do. But again, sorry, I've been rambling on this. So I get Eisenhower's dilemma there, and I know why he did what he did. Was it for ultimate benefit? Maybe, maybe not. If the Nordics were true to their word and that was the caveat, was to lose the nukes, who's to say they're not part of a larger galactic federation, if you want to call it that? Sherry's here. What's happening? It's okay. I'm a little sleepy today, so don't worry about it. You're going to catch up pretty quick. But welcome to the chat. It's good to see you. So, okay. So again, Nordics say, get rid of your nukes. Greys say, keep them. Are they two different factions in the galaxy? One, or actually both, warned the president against the other group. So, from a strategic standpoint, I understand his decision to keep the nukes and all that fun stuff, especially given the potential dangers. So, yeah, let's X out of that one. And let's talk more fun UFO stuff. I think we talked about this guy. I think we talked about that. Okay. Now, this kind of relates, but this is George Knapp's interpretation on the whole interdimensional alien hypothesis. Let me call that up. Okay. Let me call that up, and I'll get it up here. Nope. Is that it? Can you see it? You can see it. Okay, fantastic. Let me zoom in a little. Let me... that might be a little too much. There we go. Here we go.
Not just visitors from other planets coming here, that it is part of something much bigger, much more wondrous, much more mysterious, and a lot harder for us to get our heads around. I don't think we would disintegrate with the general idea that aliens are coming here to visit us because they've been gumming a long time. They haven't blown us up yet. So what's the threat? However, what if the ultimate disclosure is not that simple? What if they are describing something else entirely? By the way, the aliens are here. They're not really from other planets. They are actually interdimensional beings. They live here among us all the time, separated by a thin psychic membrane of some sort. They can see everything you do. They can read your mind. They can interact with our lives at any time, come and go as they please, at will. You can't see them. You can't know it. How do you like that? You talk about people freaking out. That would have you freaking out.
An intriguing interpretation. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Did I tell Tim about the photo? Oh, we have fun stuff happening in the chat. I guess we'll find out about that in a moment. Let me finish on this point with George Knapp there. A man I consider, given his investigation and association, and he's a great investigative reporter, and his work with Jeremy Corbell, and the contacts they've made, not only separately but together, teaming up. Yeah. How about that? So alien number 7 could be standing right over my shoulder right now. You can't tell. That would be interesting. Yes, the interdimensional alien actually makes a little more sense to one degree or another. Does that mean we don't have, aliens on our plane? Or does this mean that the aliens are able to slip into that phase behind the so-called veil and be just so slightly out of phase with us that we can't perceive them, but they can come in and out? This also sounds like, if you want to get religious, actually sounds like the jinn from the Quran. We talked about that with Sammer. Eons ago. It was a while back. So that's very interesting. We have these beings that apparently have mechanical craft. Some say they're biologically indistinguishable from a life form, except for they're made of metal. Well, some have suggested perhaps there's a biological living metal. Not the first time we've explored that, especially in our fictions. I cite, among other things, Moya from Farscape, and there was an episode of Doctor Who in the David Tennant days. They explored metallic, physiological beings as well. Biometallurgical, I guess is the word. But, yeah, interesting stuff. So, are there interdimensional aliens? It would surprise me if there were, and Heidi has sent me that. I get to look at a picture. Yay! Or a video. Is this a video? Sorry, I'm going to review it real quick. Almost every night. I don't think I have things to do. Oh, fun. Huh. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I'll share this right now. So this is from Heidi. Is it a cat? Yeah, it's a cat way up in the sky. Sorry, my interesting. So I don't think there's a cat that big, but I'm going to zoom in on this and get it all set up, and then we'll share. Heidi experienced this apparently. This is great. We're going to take a little look at it here. So bear with me while I get you back up on the... Oh, I closed it. What a doofus. Okay, here we go. So this is a series of stills. And, it looks like you had 2 visitors there. So it's moving across the moon. Jigga, jigga, jigga. We're going to move on. Jig, jig, jig. There we go. And so a nice clear moonlight. And then 1021, 1023. This thing wasn't really trucking, was it? It was just easing on down, easing across the moon there. And I guess Boulder, Colorado was the wrong place. It was either the right place or the wrong place to be, depending. But that's really cool. Look at that. This is in May of 2026. Fantastic grab, Heidi. I'm going to zoom in a little more on that. If I can, if the internet will let me. Yeah, there we go. That's far better. So, look at that. Nicely done. That's a good grab. Good grab. So, clear moon, ship, and a follow craft of some sort. Escort craft. Look at that thing. That thing's cool looking. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. I didn't mean to pause it, but I did. There we go. Now it's going again. Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Look at that thing. That's pretty nifty looking. 3 points, kind of rounded on the insides there. And you got that weird little follow craft right there. That's just crazy stuff. And it's not part of the tree, because the tree's right there. Yeah, that's a great capture. Yeah, valid and odd. I agree. You definitely got something up there. A proper UFO, an identified flying object. And like I said, if you're looking at the time, which is no longer showing up for whatever reason, let me zoom out so everyone can see what's going on. So I'll unpause it here because I think there we go. See that there's a time code here as she's taking the different pictures. 1023, 1021. This is 1023. It's really, I mean, come on, look at that. That's really cool. I'm zooming around. It's a little blurry because I'm zooming around and I'm pushed in. Yeah, not a cat. Cats don't fly that high above the cloud cover. And you know what? As I look at this, I'm noticing a very linear shadow here. Look at that. Look at that linear shadow poking through the clouds there. Now, is that the actual outline of this thing being cast on the clouds? I don't know. It could well be. And that might be the actual shape of it. It's just, for whatever reason, it was discombobulated by the moon. Probably because of its backlit so strongly. But what a grab, Heidi. Fantastic. But again, look at that linear shadow. It has very definitive edges to it. And it would continue here and here and here. So, wow, that's interesting. It doesn't cast. Or rather, maybe it does cast a very similar shadow. Because, like I said, I think these points here, because there's a point up front and there's a point over here, and I think there's potentially a point there. But this is the actual outline of the thing. I mean, you can make out what I can only assume are some sort of vectoring system. That's a big, huge assumption on my part. But wow, that's great. Nice capture, Heidi. Very nice capture. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Nice choice of songs too, but I don't have permission to play it. So I can't. King Heart, yeah. Huh. Interesting. I'd say you definitely caught something there. For sure. For sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Very well done. Very well done. As we call it, you know what? I'm going to like it. And I'm going to save it to my weird file. How's that? And paranormal evidence. There you go. You just made the weird file. Excellent. Oh, that's such a good capture. I'm very excited by that. But let us continue our exploration of the weird and wonderful. This one's kind of weird, and I put it here because it made me think of something else, but we're talking about UFOs right now, alien hybrids and disposing. Yeah, this was faked. Yeah. Okay, I do want to talk about this. It's not quite alien related, but does have an interesting kind of a story, and I'm going to keep it muted because these guys are just horrible. But I want you to watch this. Watch this guy. They got a photo of it here too. But look at that is a 10-foot wall. If that's a normal garage that sits at 10 foot, that's a 10-foot wall. Basically perpendicular, basically. Maybe a little shorter, but come on. Look at that thing. You're not a weirdo, Heidi. It's my weird file. It's my nickname for the paranormal stuff. It's strange and weird and unusual and often lacks proper explanation. So the weird file. But I want you to take a look at how tall this person is. They're, if that's 9.5 feet and that's 10, the garage here. I mean, no, go back. Oh my goodness. Tim's having all kinds of problems with technology. Let me go here while I fix that, because I don't want to get overexposed or anything. Oh, there it is. Okay, I came back. But yeah, I mean, come on. Put it back up there. Whoops, add to stage. There it is. Okay, so as I was saying, this character, creature, and the shadow here, correct. Again, that's a 10-foot tall thing. Most garages are. Some come in at 9.6. I'm going to call that 10. I'm going to call this wall over here 9.6. Or very, very close anyway. And this person's easily a head and a half above that, and that's about, I call that about 2 foot as I look at it. A very tall person. Let's continue with the walking, because I think we have it walking. There we go. Oh, no, it's just still. Okay, so we're going to go back and look at this again. We're going to watch this thing walk out. I'm creeping around. No one can see me. I will say... Shoot. Okay, there we go. Now, one thing I want you to notice about it, while the shadow lines up, one thing that, yeah, there's another version of it there. Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to show us with the shadow there, because there's no person, but, I mean, the shadow's in motion, but it's weird. Okay, there we go. I want to see this thing walking again. I want to take a look at... I may debunk this already, because it looks like he has pants on at first, and then he has a skirt. Yeah. Now, it could be a long coat-like thing, but it seems... Pants... So you see the gap in the legs there, and it keeps walking. Yeah, keeps walking, and then skirt. Kids, okay, creepy as this is, I may have debunked this already, but I'm going to call that piece of AI really good, too. That's really good. Or it's shifting. Or it could be floating like one of these interdimensional things, and you just don't know, right? I just don't know anymore. But that was one of my favorites. Let me see. Let me close that again. And as I do... Oh, I zoomed in. I meant to go to me. Hi there. Yes, very skinny legs. Very oddly proportioned. And the skirt of the coat turns into a full-on skirt. And there's no movement to wrap it around and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to say this is potentially AI, or this being was somehow shifting between realities and wasn't quite in our realm. That's kind of a wild potentiality, but I see it as, for lack of, valid enough, I guess. Let's see. I just lost all my buttons. Tell you what, it's about that time anyway, so we're going to take a little... Okay, they're all gone. Good times. Okay, I found them. So we're going to take a little station identification break and do some commercials, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. See you then. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest.
Long ago in the ancient world, the Trebus Omnes Lux, later known as the Tridents, were celebrated heroes, defenders of humanity against unspeakable monsters. Today, they continue that sacred duty in secret, hunting the dark evils that lurk just beyond the shadows. They are the Trident of Light,
Introducing Story TV, enabling true creative freedom for independent creators. Search an ever-growing library of fantastic festival winners, including Blaney Tucker's Ghost and the Monster Hunters of the TOL. Free to enjoy at lower resolutions. Pay $5 per month for 1080 and full K presentations to support the artists you enjoy. Your monthly contribution actually goes to the filmmakers themselves. Support independent film. Support Story TV. Check out our Patreon. Get deeper behind-the-scenes insights. Also, tips into being a better paranormal investigator and other fascinating content. Follow us on Instagram at paranormal.insight. Stay informed on upcoming shows, see what paranormal trends we're following, and help us reach 50,000 followers by liking, following, and sharing. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at paranormal_insight. Click the live tab to see our latest videos. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. As I hit buttons, my screen differential goes. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But we have a new comment here, and I can't seem to get to it. Oh, I have a great radio. Why? Thank you. I appreciate that. I have a great radio voice, Heidi tells me. I appreciate that. Great deal. I actually did radio for a little bit. A gazillion years ago. I was part of a Part 15 radio station. That's a free radio station, so radio free something or other. What were we? Not KTLA, that's something else. It wasn't KTLA. But we are on some weird, teeny tiny little, really obscure. It's like 103.7 FM. We had like a 5-mile broadcast radius. It was really a local station. But it was fun. I got to play music all the time, and yeah, that was a blast. I did enjoy that a great deal. Let's see. So where's that disappearing to? Because I want buttons. Darn it. Oh, I had it. Okay, I'll just stay there, and I'll have a teeny tiny little screen to play with. Good times. Well, let's continue to look at some more UFO stuff, because Lord knows there is plenty of it. This guy caught a very interesting thing. And, I don't know, if they were trying to hide themselves, they kind of failed. Let's check it out. Nope. I'm gonna go, we'll do this. There we go. So, let's play it. So this guy zooms in. Look at that. Looks like the bridge of or the saucer section of the Enterprise almost. There's a bird. Oh, see, that's great evidence right there. That's fantastic. So I would call this relatively legit. I mean, look at the bird flying across unobstructed. Look at that. That's great. That's fantastic. So this is probably legit to a degree. I mean, I'm seeing very few artifacts. We got this weird, perfect, hazy cover. Someone forgot to turn on their cloaking device, apparently, which is kind of funny. I wish I could call up the video where we see guys running around on top of the ship trying to fix it. It's pretty funny. But seriously, it does kind of look like the saucer section of the Enterprise, like a hyper lit up version of it. But yeah. It's intriguing. Let me pause it about right there, because there's some some architecture back here. Hopefully you can see that. I can't see my big screen, but hopefully you can see. So there's some architecture here, and there's definitely the bridge of this thing. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Okay, let's zoom out and look at something else fun in the UFO world. Clearest evidence yet. Okay, let's see this. My guess is you're supposed to be looking at this in a horizontal fashion, like in this up and down version here. That's not bad. I mean, that's not bad. It looks like a bit of a
almost modern device. I mean, just the way it's moving, the way it's constructed. It looks like someone stripped down the shell of an existing craft and just kind of, let's see. Get my little logo out of there. Yeah, that's pretty clean. And I'm trying to see if that shifts or not. Because it seems to have an off, the top of it seems to be like off kilter, off center from the bottom, which I find very interesting. Again, you're supposed to be looking at, it's like this, but it should be horizontal. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. No, that is not the UFO I was looking for. Okay, I think I talked about the 4K revolution of these earlier things. We talked about that one. I may have gone too far back. Okay, let me go forward. We talked about that. Last time. Capture of an Ebian Part 2. This is kind of interesting. It's the one I'm thinking about. So some are saying, if I remember correctly. Okay, let's just play it and find out.
And eventually somebody decided, let's bring these into him and let him look at it. Then he explained to the handler, this was a communications device. Somehow he started trying to communicate with his planet, sending signals. I think back then they were figuring that he was sending these signals to Zeta Reticuli, which is 38 light years away. But he wasn't sending them to another planet. He was sending to the closest spaceship, closest Eben craft. So eventually the signals came in and they made some sort of an arrangement. And before Eba died, he showed us how to use the communications device. So when Eba died, I believe it was November 1952,
wow.
We were able to continue sending signals on this communications device out to space.
Communications with the Ebens continued for almost a decade, and the intelligence teams involved received communications in return. This evolved into a top-secret program reported by researchers as Project Serpo, in which the United States government organized an exchange program with the extraterrestrial beings that crashed in the desert near Roswell, New Mexico. While the
that's interesting. I think this is part of a Gaia report. You know, it's interesting. They say this all happened in 1952. Well, we just talked about what it happened in 1952. There was it's when Eisenhower went out and did his thing. And that dental emergency. So there's a lot bad, not bad, but strange overlap. I mean, how quickly are you going to rev up this program? If I remember correctly, it was like this time of year when Eisenhower had his dental emergency and had the meetings with the two different groups of aliens. So how in 1952 did we already have captive aliens? So, I mean, that's something to consider. How did we have captive aliens that far back? Yeah, so I'm thinking either there was multiple programs operating at various levels, which wouldn't surprise me when it comes to this government, because I worked at NASA, and that was kind of a thing, where one program knew what the other program was doing, project, I'll say. And they said, well, we got to beat them at this, because if we beat them at this, then we can ask this of them. And it was kind of a weird thing. Like they were trying to outpace each other for resources and for talent on these different teams. And for funding to a degree. Although the funding was nearly, well, I wouldn't say limitless because that wasn't the case. But it wasn't that hard to come by back then. The oversight committees just were not as diligent back then as they are now. I mean, they were diligent, don't get me wrong. If you spent it on Hawaiian vacations for your entire team, okay, yeah, then you're gonna answer to someone. Forgive my leaning. I just kind of cocked my foot up there and I did it. There we go. But getting back to, so something tells me there were various levels of operation, operating at various levels of this, that, and the other thing. One hand, the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, so to speak, or vice versa. Oh, pardon my yawn. So yeah, that's an interesting piece, and it raised a lot of questions. So while some people were dealing with these so-called Ebens, which is just, unimaginative extra biological entity. I forget what the N stands for, but yeah, that was kind of crazy. I do want to bring one thing up, and it's a little long, but it might be a fascinating look and even give us potentially. Actually, it doesn't give any potential to an all-in-one answer, but there's this guy who talks about this book called The Eighth Tower. And, and the subtitle is On Ultra-Terrestrials and the Supernatural. And the supposition here is, with this book, and I'll share the screen. The supposition here is, and this is the book I'm talking about here. Let me click on this real quick and pause it. The supposition here is that the author John Keel explores the ideas that UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, psychic experiences, and other strange things, or weird things as we like to say, right, Heidi? Are all the same thing. Part of a super spectrum. And this kind of speaks to something I've talked about in the past called the paranormal M theory, that there is connectivity between these things. So I'm not the first person to think of it, and he just kind of beat me to it with a book a couple of years back. The super spectrum, that's a relatively nice thing. Probably better than me ripping off M theory. But a reality beyond a normal perception is what the descriptor says here. I didn't zoom in, so, but I'm so sorry. Well, talking yawn, as I like to call it, cannot. Sorry, just not used to talking this much. Typically, I only do it once a week. Other than that, I typically just shut up. Believe it or not. One of the most influential and thought-provoking books in the paranormal studies. Well, that's interesting. He makes that statement, and I'll zoom in on that part right now. One of the most influential, thought-provoking books in paranormal studies, because I've never heard of this book, and that's my bag, man. I mean, that's where I live, So, anyway, if you want to check it out for yourself, yeah. You can. I don't think it's worth a watch, to be honest. Not at this point, but it's still a fascinating look. This guy doesn't go into the details. He just touts the book, just so as you know. Okay, I'll zoom in on this just for the title. So, Rep Tim Burchett, he's all for disclosure, and he's been championing disclosure for a while. There are UFOs that have the ability to travel light years. They will put the war pigs out of business. Well, yeah, I don't like war profiteers more than anyone else does. I mean, you know, I get the need to have defense contractors and the like, but I don't think I don't think that's necessarily an absolute. You know that you need to have these defense contractors that have certain clearances and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I get it from a security standpoint. I get it, but at the same time, it seems to me that's been a larger and larger excuse to continue to hide things from us. I mean, that's an excuse going all the way back to the 40s. Well, the people aren't ready. I would highly disagree. And while this is an AI generated crowd, at least from looking at it, I'm going to say it is, or the signs have been changed to reflect the topic. I still would say that is with, you know, creative, whatever it is, notwithstanding. There's another one, Eisenhower. We'll watch that next. And then we'll watch the alien video one. I forget what this one's about. David puts his picture in front of everything, so I can't tell what it's about. But the having FTL travel, I think we have it already. I think we've had it for a few decades now, believe it or not. Because certainly since I've been at NASA, I know we had at least something in the order of an operational theory on how it all works. And I think they were putting a ship together to test it back in the 90s. Whether that came to pass or not, it's a different story. I think it probably did, though, because, I mean, FTL travel, I mean, just for a resources issue alone, I mean, I'd perfect that. That'd be great. Sublight drives going all the way out to even our own local asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, mining Ceres, where we saw lights, probably our own mining operations. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. And honestly, I get the need to want our government to be, and all governments really, all entities in power to be open, to be transparent. But okay, so if they kept the secret from us, all we're really going to do, unless we start really just rampaging as a society and tearing down these walls, tearing down these would-be leaders, or entities that are dealing, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Not really. I mean, a mass revolution based on tell us the truth would be, I mean, there's bits and pieces where that has happened to a degree, and not only in American history, recent American history, but across the globe. Oh, sorry, it's a siren. I was like, what the heck's that? It sounded foreign for a second. Are they coming for me? I don't know. We'll find out in a minute. But I digress. I think it's a fire truck, and I'm not surprised. It's super hot. There could be something burning somewhere. I just dropped my water cap, and stuff like that. So do we have the right to know? I don't see a reason to keep the secret personally. It's like, we're exploring space travel. I mean, you can't get, even with the recent Artemis missions, I mean, everyone fell in love with NASA again, to a degree. But, and a lot of people saying, what the oh, I wish I had that video. I wanted to talk about that too. So you've seen the video, Artemis 1 lifting off, textbook launch, and you see the little escape baskets run away. That's standard procedure, kids. And that's not just, I know that's what NASA said, but You're talking to a guy who loved and wrote reports on the moon missions early in the 60s. Exact same protocol. You send that stuff away so it doesn't come crashing down when the thing lifts off. Because once the rocket gets above the gantry, its flame. Its thrusters are kicking out a lot of heat and a lot of disruption. And while the cables can stand that kind of friction, the baskets not so much. So when the escape baskets go down the line, P.S. Thank you for the thumbs up. That's awesome. From Dalton, Jesus, thank you. When you see those little escape baskets flying down the line, that's standard procedure. That is not to say, did they really get? Yeah, they really went up. They really did. And they took a picture of Apollo 11, their landing site, because I've said it in the past. You get a powerful enough telescope and you look at the moon, you can see our stuff all over the place up there. Not all over the place, but you know what I mean. You can see our older stuff up there. Probably some of our newer stuff too, because we're not the only country on the moon anymore. Let's look at more Eisenhower stuff, because that is always fascinating. So let's jump into it. We're going to hear some repeat information, but still. I promise. There we go. Whoops.
Eisenhower allegedly organized a meeting with aliens in February of 1954.
54 now.
This theory is among one of the most controversial and is often debated. But here's how it goes. On February 20th, 1954, Eisenhower interrupted his golf vacation in Palm Springs, California, to make a secret trip to Edwards Air Force Base to meet two extraterrestrial aliens. As wild as that may sound, the fact of the matter is that the whereabouts of Eisenhower that night are virtually unknown. To make things even more interesting, on the night he allegedly met with the aliens, the Associated Press reported that Eisenhower died of a heart attack in Palm Springs. 2 minutes later, the Associated Press retracted that bulletin and reported that the president was still alive. Eisenhower's spokesman announced to the press that the president had to make an emergency dentist visit because he chipped a tooth while eating a chicken wing at dinner. Researchers suggest that the dentist trip is just a cover story. All these decades later, it is still unknown which story is true. Another widespread theory, supported by Dwight Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, is that Eisenhower made a peace treaty with aliens in 1954 to allow for alien abductions. According to Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, their goal was to analyze our DNA. Could this explain the dramatic increase in UFO sightings and alien abduction stories since 1954? Did you know President...
Yeah. So it changed. It was 1952 and now it's 1954. I think 54 is a little more accurate, to be honest with you, because I think someone else was president in 52. Don't quote me on that. My recollection of our presidential lineage is woefully lacking. Hold on, I gotta put this up, Heidi. Your library loans out telescopes. That's the best library in the world. You want to look at the stars? Here, have a telescope. That's amazing. Our library doesn't do that, and we have some tall buildings here, man. I mean, we should have watch parties on some of these corporate roofs. I mean tall. I mean like 20, 30. They're not the tallest buildings in the world. I know New Yorkers are going, that's it. But, you know, that's pretty cool. But again, another Eisenhower clip. We can, and the dentist thing comes up, and we have a year differential. I think 54 sounds about right, though. Okay, we'll go. I goofed. Let's try that again. There we go. This is John Lear again. And he's going to talk about something very interesting. Now, the clips that are shown here, I cannot validate, verify, what have you. But it would, if true, validate some of the photos and videos, and we've seen this stuff before. But I wanted to touch on it because, one, it's kind of our topic today, and two, it's speaking to something else. You thought so too? Oh, yeah. Heidi, that's a really cool thing. I wish ours did that. Anyway, it is still speaking to our thing, and we're going to talk about the aliens again, and we've all heard that weird story. Oh, our genetics are failing. I mean, they used it in Stargate, for crying out loud. When they ran into the Greys and they called them the Asgard. Yes, they should bring back that Stargate show that they canceled. Full on. Bring it back. Find your way back. Find your way back. As I poorly sing that, excuse me. But yeah, I mean, Stargate took that idea, that story, and integrated it into their, Asgard's backstory. It's like, oh yeah, copy of a copy of a copy. We're experiencing diminishing returns as a race. That was us in 1947. That type of thing. The advanced technology, the beam weaponry, the teleportation, Star Trek style. Actually, better than Star Trek style is just they're gone. Anyway, so we're gonna watch John Lear talk about a video, and then they're gonna show an example. I cannot confirm this is what he was talking about, but it's still a fascinating peek at a possible video. Let's see if I can zoom in just a hair more here. Just a hair, Tim. Just a hair. Just a hair. Here we go.
One EVE still living, EVE 3, and there is a videotape that eventually is going to be released to the public, and it's an interview with him. As hard as that may sound, as hard as it may be to believe, there is a videotape of an interview with EVE3.
And what is this language?
There's going to be a video of an actual interview of an actual extraterrestrial being.
You know this?
Yes. So I mean, I know that exists. And that's part of the crown jewels that they're not going to want to reveal.
Can you comment on the footage of the alien being interrogated from the 90s, referred to as the Victor footage?
Well, that's one of the only legitimate video footage that's out there. It's real. It was smuggled out. There's in fact, a whole book being written and a whole movie being written about that. That should come out pretty soon by Jon Stewart, my friend Jon Stewart. He's going to be the producer of it. And he has a lot more information than I would have about that. But it's real. It's the only one that I've seen on the internet that's absolutely real.
A woman claims her smart doorbell camera captured what appeared to be an alien walking past her home.
That's kind of cool.
According to NBC News, this is reportedly one of the clearest videos of extraterrestrial life ever seen. And if you haven't seen the footage yet, what comes next may shock you. It happened in California. At around 1 a.m., the woman was checking her Ring doorbell camera when she suddenly noticed a strange figure appearing in the footage. It did not look like an ordinary passerby. Its movements were stiff. Its body shape looked unusual. And it was walking alone on the street in the middle of the night. The woman froze when she saw it. For a moment, she even wondered if her eyes were playing tricks on her. She immediately showed the video to her son. But after watching it, her son said, "Mom, that's an alien." Her son even told her to call the police. But the woman did not call right away because she was afraid the police would think she was crazy. After the footage was posted online, it quickly sparked a huge debate. Some people believe it
that was a baby, it turned out, that little one.
But others insist it was not an ordinary living being because its appearance and movements looked far too unnatural. What do you think? Was this just a late-night incidental capture? Or did we really catch something that shouldn't be here?
Still one.
Okay. I forgot about the extended pieces there, but it's fascinating. So if you want to know about that, the Victor footage, I have yet to find it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I also would caution you that people are going to label things as Victor footage, and they're not going to be the Victor footage at all. So be careful. I wish they would show legitimate stuff, because that we've seen all kinds of stuff like, and there's the one where the guy's using a very deep voice. The alien has this super deep voice, yet he has his teeny tiny little throat, and he should be talking pretty high. Maybe his mic was altered. I don't know. I couldn't even begin to speculate on that, to be completely honest with you. But I found it still fascinating that, we've been interviewing these guys, and one of them survived, and I don't know which EBE he's referring to. A Roswell EBE? Who knows? I mean, there were supposed to be 3 of those guys. I'm sorry, I went the wrong direction here. Heidi, look at you grabbing that. That's just so much fun. That's really, really well done. But yeah, let's see what else we got out there. I should do that. There we go. So we're gonna look at some other UFO stuff. I got some crazy ideas out here. Oh, okay. There's one about Die Glocke, which is the bell in German. It was part of that Nazi experiment. I don't know. I haven't seen this for myself, so I don't know anything about. I'll show you what I'm looking at, though, just so you can see it. I'm looking at the Glocke one, and this is supposedly footage of it going, but it's not. It's AI generated footage. But the Glocke here looks incredibly like is it the Kecksburg Acorn or something like that? It's the same ship, basically. I don't know if it had a big Nazi symbol on it when it crashed, but same shape. And the thing was supposed to be a time travel device, potentially. And it took off, it disappeared, and then my suspicion is it's the same device, and it came back to Earth in the 1950s in America. Anyway, but I mean, it's weird what they're linking UFO to and versus alien stuff versus what fell from the sky. See, it's all a big thing. Man, some people. Linda Moten have what a champ. She's done a lot of strange things. I'm so sorry for what's coming. Wow, that's. You see UFO. Okay. One thing I do want to look at real quick, because this came up. I'll take a look at this. This looks like AI to me, but I can't verify that. So apparently, there are four or five alien races that have been confirmed through UFO files. The dump. The Greys we know about, the Nordics we know about, the reptilians we know about, and there's insectoids, and the 5th one are these guys called plasmoids. Believe it or not, living entities made of energy that do this weird shape-shifting thing. Not shape-shifting, but I mean, their energy output is bizarre. And surprisingly geometric, and what's that called? What's that called? There's one called the it's kind of in the shape of Buddha, but and then you scoot in, it's I'm drawing oh, that's horrible. But that one's kind of interesting. So there's supposed to be 5 races, including an energy being type race called a plasmoid. At least that's the initial take on it. I mean, honestly, who knows? Some have speculated that this entire thing from the UFO dump going all the way back to Roswell has been like the longest psyop in the world. I mean, interesting. Why? Psyop to what end? I mean, I can only guess. I mean, if we're going to attack, wrong term. I have an album. Oh, look at you. Look at you, Heidi. I'm going to share that with people. I have an album I've been collecting. Different types, tidbits of species of aliens. Okay. Wow, better than I am, man. I just have somewhere in this my would-be library of evidence. I don't mean online, on my computer. I have the messiest desktop in the world. If you saw it, you would cry. Where this, it's just a chart, the old UFO chart. There's like maybe a dozen or maybe 20. I can't remember which. It's not. It's about 20, give or take, and there's different squares and what they look like, and there's a funny little, there are those line drawings that a draftsman make. So interesting stuff there. This is cool. I think I've seen this before, but I want you to not get too excited, kids, because it's they're gonna freak out. I'm just gonna do this because this is obviously a light in the sky. That is to say, it's being projected. Probably not directly below, otherwise you'd see it. Actually, I think it is coming from off center here. So take a look at this. This is an effect called a goo-boo, and you can distinctly see the shaft of light, kind of hereish. Yeah, you'll see in a sec. It looks legit. It looks like it's behind the clouds, but honestly, that's just light physics. Because it's doing the exact same thing. It's going center to Y, center to the Y, and they're just moving the circle around and stuff. So, not a UFO. That's just light technology interacting with our very dense atmosphere. And also, said light is also capturing the clouds. Some parts of it disappear. So this is not what you think it is at all. This could also very easily be CG and AI. So, and look how stable that camera is. I don't know that video phones are that stable. I have a pretty good stabilization system on my system and my cell phone, and it's a little bit older, but for my money, that's AI. Okay, definitely AI. I just saw the clouds move with the light. Okay, that is to say, it just stuck to the light. So AI debunked. The end. Yeah, Rothschilds with the demon. Yeah, okay. Someone saw Tron. I thought it was cool. There. Yeah, volcanoes attracting UFOs. That's kind of interesting. Whew. Yeah, AI. That's an actual sea creature, believe it or not. That is not. That is from, okay, I wanted to talk, it's not UFO, it's not alien. So there's this guy here, right? He says, I took the clearest. No, you took a picture of a mannequin at a museum. Because if you look, that's a wall break right there. They cleaned this up. That's a wall break, that one little stick right there. It's painted. So this is a mannequin at a museum, and I think because this guy here, if you can see him, helped put it together. Look at this. Look at my work. Yeah. Not real. fake. Debunked. You're welcome. That looks like something right out of Star Trek, that little bald guy there. The AI is nuts. The AI is nuts. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Yep. Wow. I still have trouble with the, yeah, I still have trouble with this. 302 footage, that is just too Hollywood for my taste. Yeah. No. Nope, don't believe it. I'd like to think that was something, but I mean, it made it. I think there's just too many gullible people because it actually made it to congressional review. I was like, come on, man. No way. There's all kinds of weird stuff. Oh, hey, Heidi. Here you go. List of alien people, including the MIB. Too funny. Too funny. The MIB one made me laugh. I can't read half these words except to look at the larger things. Yeah, hybrids, okay. Iguanoids instead of reptilians, though I have to be iguanoids. Dwarfs, yeah, we've seen them before too. Greys, we know what they look like. A different kind of gray that wears uniforms. The Janosians? I don't know. Lyrans, they look like cats. That's fun. The Cordi. Who came up with the names, though? Okay. Corindians look a little bit like the Greys, but different. The Yasonians have that pointy head that we've seen in Egyptian stuff. The Nordics, wow, that's a really bad rendition. They actually look like, well, Nordics. It's hilarious. The Nagas are reptilian type. Moon eyes. You know, come on. Mantis, the insectoids, sure. The Pleiadians. That's interesting about the Pleiadians. I'm going to zoom in on that because I've heard like 8 different things about Pleiadians. That's what we call them anyway, because they're supposedly from the Pleiadian star system, star cluster. I've heard yes, they're humanoid. I've heard yes, they're closer to these guys, the Yasonians. But they're definitely humanoid or even Nordics. And I also heard the Nordics are from the Pleiadians. So, I don't know. Mothman. I think Mothman potentially are alternate dimensional entities. If there's one creature, cryptid, whatever it is you want to call it, that is from an alternate dimension, almost definitively, I'm going to say it's the Mothman. For sure. The Personians, okay, which have a kind of a near android kind of a thing, like metallic android style, classic reptilians, and the Syrians, which are supposedly ascended beings of some sort. Maybe those plasmoid guys we saw, I don't know. Yeah. But the Mothman, for sure, if there's an interdimensional being, it's them. It's them, I think. And I think it's quasi-natural to them. I mean, that's kind of... I mean, if you want to play that out, too, and you want to game, as they say, game that out to a certain... To what it is. Okay, so here's Earth, our Earth, and an alternate... if not nearby reality, Earth number, let's call it 31, just for the sake of argument. On that particular Earth, moths, evolved to us. They probably became quasi-humanoid anyway, because this is a pretty functional form. Is it the most efficient form? No. But as far as advanced thinking and manipulation of the environment and building things. This is a pretty useful form to have. These guys probably evolved to something very close to us because they've always been depicted as being relatively humanoid, except for the big moth eyes and the ability to sprout wings and fly away. That's my take anyway. So, are there definitively, well, according to George Knapp, yes, there are aliens running around. He didn't say which ones. I'd like for him to have said which ones are interdimensional. I'm convinced, though. My conviction lies that Mothmen are definitely of the interdimensional type. And if you have a plasmoid energy creature, probably them too, to a degree. There are some that have suggested that, and it's usually the diamond-shaped craft that we see, like in the Rendlesham Forest example. As an example, rather, these diamond-shaped craft that the Army Rangemaster saw something similar. I call them time kites because they seem to pop up at different eras and different places around the world. And in the Rendlesham incident, one of the guys was taken aboard and he was communicated with, and in his communication, he was told by a bunch of little lights circling him, probably an artificial intelligence of some sort. I was like, oh yeah, we're just checking out the time. Or it could have been remote, temporal remote stuff, like quantum mechanical interaction. I don't know. There's a movie all about that, quantum mechanical interaction as a communication device. It's called The Signal or something like that. Or Signal. I'm in the middle of watching it, so don't give away the ending. But it's I'm gonna like this little alien thing here real quick. Let me get it up there. It's in the weird file. I should just rename it the weird file, huh? Anyway. Excuse me. I lost my train of thought. Mothmen are interdimensional people. Anyway, yeah, I would have liked George Knapp to really kind of talk about that. That would have been fun. No. Yeah, right. Sorry, some of this is just so obvious, man. It's like, are you even trying? If you're going to try, I guess as a creator, I'm a little okay. I do want to get your opinions on this. A big blank thing didn't pop up. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is a tiny little municipal airport out in the middle of nowhere, Nevada. And this jet is flying around, and I'll show it to you here. This is great. And this little UFO shows up. There we go. So let's see what happens here. So they're flying along. Zoom. Zoom. Okay. Zoom. And it parks. And it has an SUV. Obviously fake. You could just tell by it. Yeah. Someone's just having fun there. I didn't see the car part of it ever. I've only seen the still when it's just sitting there like that. That's pretty funny. I commented on this before, you remember Jeremy Corbell and his partner put out the squid? Okay, it's a series of photographs. Okay, that's really horrible. That's really horrible too. Okay, I'll go with this. The squid, and I made the comparison that looks like the probe from Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, the probe droid that goes after Han Solo and Chewie. Don't sue me, LucasArts. It's a reference. What do you want? Well, this is someone's rendition of it, that it was a little guy flying this thing. I've seen other versions where the pilot is actually the size of this thing, just sitting in some sort of jump jet type thing with these arms, some sort of Waldo arms sitting there. That's completely fake. This is fun. That's a nice piece of creativity right there. The fire funnel. Yeah, that's they may be looking at a real fire somewhere, but this is so stupid. I can't believe people actually fall for this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fake too. Gosh, it's so horrible. I mean, my goodness. Elon, there's so much stuff on here. This is kind of fun. They caught a jack-looking thing here. That's kind of cool. Why does it have collision lights? That's what I want to know. I'll zoom in on that for everyone. Why does it have collision lights? It's easy to collide with? Perhaps. Oh, man. No. I'm going to say possibly. I mean, who knows? I don't know anything about advanced alien mechanical whatevers. That's entirely possible, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say, given that it's out and did it move? Does it move at one point? Let's take a look at the spacing here. Yeah, it does. It moves. Oh, that's interesting. But I'll also point something else out. This is totally sci-fi. This is complete BS. Because this angle here does not match this angle here. It's a cool graphic, but no, that's fake too. The running guy on the moon, totally fake. Nah, not all aliens look alike. No kidding. This is pretty cool. That's not bad, because then we have it's a UFO. Could well be. I mean, we had that, they're near an Air Force base too. I'd be curious to see. Hold on, let's see if it tracks with that blob here. I think it might be a streak on the window. We had that before. I can't confirm that one, but my guess is no. This is hilarious. Zap. Come on. If that's legit, I mean, no way. This is pretty fun. A tumbling balloon of some sort. AI generated, I think. Because it changes its perspective there. Yeah, it's AI generated. Oh, this is the one I was thinking of. The squid that Jeremy Corbell. This is someone's rendition of what it actually looks like. It looks like a person or a creature of some sort navigating this thing. No. This is actually pretty cool. In 1801. No, that's 118 January. That's pretty cool, actually. It's pretty cool. Look at that. Yeah. Behind the trees, that's not easy. Even for AI, they'd take a branch with them or something. I think that one might be legit. Yeah. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Let's see what this TR3B is doing here. Yeah, TR3B. Joe talks about the TR3B all the time. He actually has the specs somewhere in his house. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, a little spider guy. Da 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 da. That's pretty funny. Da, da, da. It could be a repair drone too. You never know. I mean, it might just. That would be a clever methodology if it's not completely fake, which is entirely possible. Although you never know. That's pretty unique. I mean, I'll put that one in the maybe file. Hey, Heidi, we have more things. And see, there's the 4 I told you about. Then I had the 5th one, plasmoid. I don't think the insectoids look like that. I think they actually have the mantis people actually keep their claws up like their cousins do here on Earth. And then I let them down. They point. They're kind of like giant hands, but not quite. And one thing they never talk about, the aliens I actually saw, which is Carl, what's his name's, Tall Whites. And gosh, I'm blanking on them again. Let me call them up real quick. Tall Whites. Yeah. Charles Hall. Always get his name wrong. Oh, that's just... All right, let me close that. Move that from the studio and then call it this other one here. There they go. Charles Hall and I have seen these guys. Whoops. See, Charles Hall said what? Tall Whites. I gotta type it in again. There we go. These guys. I promise they're there. There they are at the stage. Yeah, we've seen these guys. They never mention these guys at all. They never mention these guys. So I don't know. So is it a massive psyop and that we don't know what the aliens actually look like? Who knows? So the difference between these guys and these guys is I hit the button hoping to make it work. Oh my goodness. These guys here is that the Nordics look relatively, well, human, and guess what? Nordic. So who knows? Let's see. It's moving me down to this corner. They say, Heidi asked me a question. Do you think these are the common types? I don't. I really don't. They don't mention the Charles Hall kind at all. Even Joe, who runs iCar, which is the MUFON competitor, if not superior than MUFON, has said in his research, in their research rather, iCar's research, no one has mentioned Charles Hall's aliens. But I know for a fact, that though they are out there. Now, they could be hybrids between these two guys, between the Greys and the Nordics. And I mean, I imagine hybridization happens. Although, I mean, must have been a meeting of someone fell in love with someone's mind, because that is not an attractive individual by my estimation. Sorry, I'm too human for that, I guess. Yeah. So, they, like I said, Heidi, the 4 I just showed you are supposed to be the normal guys, but for my money, I think it's a very, 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 a much larger diaspora of different, beings out there. And we're trolling the internet again, I just realized. Good times. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm yelling again. Oh, I'm yelling yet again. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of... Come on. Show me the preview. It's kind of fun. There we go. And not showing the preview. Oh, there it is. Yeah, wow, someone just dropped their phone. Okay, someone keeps dropping their phone. Forget it. No. Yeah, that's fake. That's fake. That's fake. That's fake. Wow, I mean, man, I'd show it to you, but it's just not worth it sometimes. Huh. What I'm thinking of. One of the clearest UFO. They all say that now. This is the clearest thing I've ever seen. This is kind of interesting and a bit topical. Let me bring that up. Not topical, but quasi-topical. Okay, yeah, you just saw the tail end of it. So this is a pretty famous piece of footage. This is the dome over the rock in Israel. And that's the mosque there with the golden dome. And yeah. So let's take a really close look at that. Yeah, it's crazy. Look at that. Boom. And then it'll flicker and then it'll go whap and take off, which is pretty cool. But if I'm not mistaken, back when there was sound on this, it actually set off when it goes through warp drive after the flash. It actually set off all the car alarms, which is pretty cool. I thought that was pretty neat. Again, clearest video ever. I don't think so. That's fake. Woman claims UFO is cloaked over the mountain of California. Not a cloud in the sky. I've seen this video. 1991. Oh, wait a minute. Is this my guy? Did I find it on accident? No, this isn't my guy. I thought it was the saucer I've been looking for this whole time. Nordic. Yeah, sure. No, he's just a eccentric. Nordic. Come on, dude. Exceptionally tall people aren't that rare in this world. I mean, they're rare, but they're not that rare. Their film's Metapod UFO. I don't know what a Metapod is, so I guess we'll find out together. Okay. Metapod. Okay. And he banked into it. He's chasing it. Okay, that's goofy. Okay. All right. Yeah. Bob Lazar was right all along. Well, we knew that already. I'm not going to waste anyone's time on that. And yes, we are over time. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to say goodbye. Past time to say goodbye. I'm turning into Joe Montaldo over here. No offense, Joe. I love you. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim Sudano. This has been Paranormal Insight, and my apologies for going over. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next time on Paranormal Insight.
If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.